What up, though? So, just want to talk to my young bros again. So, like, I always think about like if I could talk to my younger self, like what would I be able to say to him? 20 years ago. I'm 39. 20 years ago, with me, and I'll be 19 years old. Um, and there are just some things I think about, like, damn, that what I would say to him to help him on his journey into the kind of man I am today, but even be better. So, I can even be better than the man I am today, right? And do and live just a more full of life. The first thing I always say to him, I would say, hey, take risks. First and foremost, don't ever lose that part of you that feels invincible, that feels like they could do anything. Don't lose that part of you, because that part of you is what helps you keep you feeling young. It helps you feel like you're like life is always a new day present. You don't get stuck in the mundane of the routines of responsibilities and keeping up all these different chores to feel like you're a productive member of society. Um, you need to find that balance with that. But most importantly, though, you still need to be speaking to the person inside you, right? You're still speaking to your inner self, and so you have to be able to take risks. Um, and I think being able to take risks is important because as you get older, like a lot more things become a little bit more difficult. You have responsibilities. You can have a mortgage. You can have a family, and so you can feel like you can't do as many things as you would like to do if you was younger without all those responsibilities, right? But sometimes being able to take risks still means you have to do something for yourself that will help you be better for your family. And so you can't lose that fearlessness. Doing things that are like drastic and but really speaks to you is very important because it makes you feel like you're alive again. So never lose that fearlessness in you. Like always be ready um to not to be ready to fail, honestly. Like learning how to fail is very important because when you learn how to fail, you can learn how to accept your flaws and you can be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. You can say, "Hey, you know what? I didn't do well at this, but I did learn this. So let me pivot to this, or let me figure out how I did this wrong, and figure out where I'm lacking at to improve my skills so I can do better in the next time." And it's important to be able to always see yourself as somebody's always able to grow. Because if you're not growing, in my opinion, you're dying. You're just a walking zombie. So be always willing to grow. Be always willing to learn something new, and be always willing to like challenge yourself. And that's why you have to be willing to always take risks because the biggest challenges in life is what ultimately helps you in the craziest way. Honestly, you don't really grow through being comfortable. You grow through the uncomfortable. So the more you're able to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, the more you'll be able to soar. Seriously. Um, I would say one of the next things I would say to really focus on is your communication. You might not think it's important, and you might think you're a really good communicator. You'll think like, well, how can I communicate even better? Because I know how I was. So I would tell myself, like communication is more than just being as honest as possible and talking with a calm voice and everything, but it's also being able to be stern and understand how to talk to somebody without just being just being ready to respond. Like sometimes it's just a matter of just being listening. It's a matter of understanding and being more emotionally intelligent. So these things are tied together. That's the next thing is emotional intelligence. Work on your emotional regulation. Work on understanding people's emotions. Being able to read people better. But you need to be able to do all that so you can even understand yourself better and how you react to those situations, so you know how to be better in those situations and knowing how to talk to people who are going through something that you might need to be like, you know what, this person doesn't need me to give them advice right now. They just need me to talk to them. Or this person's not looking for just me to just listen to. Maybe they need me to talk to them. Maybe give them some advice. Maybe figure out how I can help them deal with the situation in a more productive way. It's also about communication. Is also how you really can become transparent, be vulnerable talk to people and really have really honest, deep conversations. So your friendships aren't just surface level, right? Because people like to just talk and keep things on the surface level. Because the deeper you get down there, the more you have to like be willing to bare your soul, be naked, you know, with somebody. You have to like really reveal who you are. And a lot of people aren't comfortable with that. So the way you're able to become comfortable, the way you're able to be transparent yourself, the way you're able to understand your own emotions, you could be able to talk to certain things. I remember at a younger age, at that age, I mean, I really didn't know how to speak about my emotions. I kind of, they could tell people who I would date, they could tell something was off, but like I could never tell them like exactly what. Like I really didn't have the words or the understanding of my emotions to really say that like, you know what? Like, this is what's bothering me. Or it's nothing that's bothering me, but maybe I just feel like this relationship has like ran its course. Or it could have been maybe there was something they was doing that was really making me upset and I didn't want to say anything about it because I didn't like the way it made me probably feel or the way it probably would make me feel like I'm like being whack about it. So you have to be willing to have those communications, have those conversations, be uncomfortable, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because I'm telling you, like, the more you're able to be more comfortable with being uncomfortable, the more you're able to do things a lot more. Like, I'm in robotic tech sales, right? And I sell also, I started co-founded an app where I have to sell to other people, sell to promoters to promote their events on my app, right? And that takes me being able to have conversations with people that, you know, like, I don't know. I have to be comfortable talking to them though, so I can say, "Hey, I'm doing this and so, and I hear you, I see you doing this. You should like check out my app. You know, I think we can find some synergy there." You gotta have that conversation, be able to talk to them, and be able to and have those really deep conversations. Because like if you ever want to go into tech sales, and I really want to talk about that in some of my other videos, is how do you get into robotics or tech sales and be effective as a tech as a sales as a sales account manager, right? And because a lot of it is like the more authentic you are, and the more people can feel that authenticity. Because people don't buy products just to buy them. I mean, the numbers and all that, the data about it helps, but people really buy stuff from the person that's selling it to them. So the more you're able to be effective at showing how you're listening, how you're actively listening to them, hearing their pain points and how you have solutions for their pain points, you have to really dig deep and have those conversations with them and be comfortable with asking those hard hitting questions. You know, hey man, you know, like what are you truly trying to get out of this? You know, just ask them directly. Sometimes being direct and asking the most obvious question, the most obvious question is also the most uncomfortable, but being willing to ask that, being comfortable with asking that question can take you a lot further than anybody else that's gonna probably approach that person to pitch whatever product to them. Because you're not just trying to sell them something. You're trying to sell them an impact. You're trying to find solutions for their problems. And the only really way to answer those problems is by having those really uncomfortable conversations where you understand their pain points. And now you can say, hey, I figured out the problem. I figured out how I can fix your problem. I figure out how we can have this long mutual beneficial relationship to make sure that you don't have these problems or we mitigate these problems is the best way possible. And so having those conversations, being able to regulate your emotions, being more emotionally intelligent really helps with your communication skills. It really helps you to have effective communication, helps you to be transparent and vulnerable with others and having those uncomfortable conversations. Because as I said, like comfort is only growth is only in the discomfort. You only go in discomfort. Um, So as a young man, you probably are having hormones raging and seeing women and all these different things, right? And like there should have been conversations that I know definitely my generation we should have been having conversations with older men about being more disciplined when it comes to approaching the opposite sex. I think there was a lot of um things that really didn't wasn't really taught to us that was really that could have been really beneficial to us and being able to understand opposite sex and being able to have more than just you know friendships with some women and attraction to other women and always chasing and not being um not letting the other head be in control, you know. So I think those conversations could have been very helpful for a lot of people at my age, especially for even for myself. You know, like we could I could have I definitely tell my younger self like um the more you're comfortable with being who you are and the more you're able to be quicker to be comfortable with who you are and to really focus on yourself, you never will lack a woman to approach. They honestly come even more the more you focus on yourself. It's not even a mind. It's like get your mind right, figure out what you want to do in life. Like still date like how you date and experience, but don't let that become like the party life entirely. You know, like the party life led to a lot of cool great, uh, fun experiences, but there was also things that I could have been focusing on too, and been doing things even at an earlier age. You know, things I did close to my late 20s. I could have been doing that in my early 20s if I had that mindset. And I only would have had that mindset when I really sat down and started focusing on myself. You know, like it was really more party life, hardcore partying, doing some of my classes here and there, trying to get by, get the degree, get undergrad, but really just had trying to have lots of fun, right? And just travel and do all types of stuff. And you should definitely do those things. But you definitely want to also still grow in the process. And I'm not saying I didn't grow at all, but I will say I probably would have grew more efficiently, faster if I was really focused on balancing out all the play with like really self improvement as well. And doing things like reading books, reading more books. We didn't have podcasts like that, but there were some podcasts I could listen to. Actually, podcasts is just a lot more popular now, actually. But there were podcasts I did listen to. Now I think about it, but I could have been checking those out even more than I do now. I could have been doing a lot more things, learning a lot more different trades. Like I really could have been using that time to do stuff like learn how to build shelter, learn how to camp in the wilderness, learn how to do a lot more DIY projects. So I could have been more handy by the time I have a house. I could have been doing, a lot more hiking and a lot more running during that time, instead of just lifting weights. There's a lot of things I could have been doing differently if I would have had the mindset that I have now at a much earlier age that I could have reached sooner. And so I could have been even a more be more of the man I want to be today, right? And so those are the type of things I would have definitely expressed to my younger self that you definitely want to make sure you do. Um, the last thing I want to really kind of kick to you is live to your truest self. Live for the person that you want to be. Who do you want to be? What kind of man do you want to be? And live to be that kind of person and be unapologetic about it. Enforce your boundaries. Don't sway to different people. Don't switch it up. I know we code switch to survive, but you know what? You really don't have to. I'm a tech robotic sales, regional sales manager. And I have earrings at work. I have a nose piercing at work. I have tattoos. And that's crazy. It's like this is the crazy part. It's like the more I became authentically me and being comfortable with like not hiding who I am, the more I soared in my career. It's crazy. Like the things that I would have thought would have been like why I would get picked over or not really seen seriously. I got lots, bro. Like I would have. It's crazy, but the more I became comfortable doing the things that I wanted to do, the more my career soared. The more became willing to being willing to confront the uncomfortable, the more I became comfortable, especially with who I am. So like definitely try to live to your truest self because I'm telling you, like the more you live true to yourself, the more life just seems so much bigger, so much richer, so much more grand. And it's like it just seems like it's ready for your taking. So imagine the kind of man you are if you're willing to take risks, have discipline, emotional control, know how to be effective in communication, and live to your true self. I mean, who wouldn't want to be that kind of man?